Hello everyone. Today, this video is the largest ever COVID vaccine study links shot to small increase in heart-brain conditions. I'm not going to elaborate on this. I've had friends of mine who have had pericarditis, who have had blood clots on the lungs. And in fact, Yale University School of Medicine came out with a research that they did on the J&J shot, contributing blood clots in the lungs as a big contributing factor of that. And you notice, ladies and gentlemen, business owners, my fellow citizens, you notice they took the J&J shot off the market. I wonder why, don't you? A word that they use in quality, that they don't say to you the words, but they use acronyms and all this stuff and all the rest of this mess that our government uses. It's called obfuscation, the action of making something obscure, unclear, and unintelligible. Isn't that the truth? ANSI, the American National Standards Institute, is a private, not-for-profit, non-governmental corporation that has federal agencies and corporations on board. The reason that I'm going to counter this is that Google, who owns YouTube, sits on ANSI's board. So if they attempt to take this video down, which has all true and quantifiable documentation, this will be on other platforms, not just YouTube. By the way, they are ISO 27001, Google is, for cybersecurity, and they can't keep their security. They've been hacked many times. Look them up on the internet. I don't need to elaborate. In 2015, Randy Doherty, the vice president of ANAB, the chairman of the IAF, and also the principal on the IAF tax report, and the IAF is the International Accreditation Form, which is incorporated in Delaware. ANSI and ANAB are also underwriters for those organizations that sit on the IAF, both national and international accreditation bodies. They are considered equivalent in accreditation to ANSI-ANAB. Zhao Jinwu has been involved with our quality since 1994. He, at the time, is also the chairman and the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services in Beijing, China. In 2017, he was there in Wuhan, China, issuing a laboratory certification, no less, for laboratory. We are going to be coming up to Ms. Pamela Sale, the Vice President of Accreditation for ANSI-ANAB, which takes over all these organizations' quality failures because they are underwriters. She said under deposition that between one laboratory and another, there are variances, lacking protocol as well. So she basically confessed to the release of the COVID virus. Also, in 2018, some representatives of the United States went over to Wuhan, China, and the scientists stated that we must have properly trained technicians dealing with these viruses. They're very deadly. We need them. And you will find this presentation that we have the actual CDC document from 2019 of May, stating that the most important part of any well-run bio-level 4 lab for highly contagious viruses and all that needs highly trained technicians to thwart off any sort of contamination release. Well, that didn't happen. This is Randy basically congratulating the Communist National Zhao Jinwu in becoming the chairman of the IAF. ANAB sits on ANSI's board. We also have a special guest from Xi Jinping. Here he is, talking about now Zhao Jinwu, when he became chairman of the IF, he's mandated by his country of origin, Communist China, to take our data through the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7. You also have 10 different registrars in China that can issue an ANSI-ANAB accreditation. They are emphatically, without a doubt, underwriters. This is a government contract from 2018. It's a standard operating work order, and it was issued by the State Department, which is also involved with ANSI-ANAB through the Department of Defense and all the rest of this mess. This shows you on the actual contract. There's a lot of pages to this contract, but I took out this best page because it states ANSI-ANAB is an underwriter for the International Accreditation Form. Yes, isn't that a tender moment? You also have the factor where ANSI took over complete control over ANAB in 2018. The reason why I say ANSI-ANAB, it just says ANAB is an underwriter for the IF. It's both ANSI and ANAB because in 2018, like the contract was 2018, ANSI took over complete control over ANAP. Also, during this time, they are sitting on the IAF, being watched and controlled over by Communist China. ANSI was basically a cookie jar for the Zhao Jinwu, the CEO or the chairman for IAF, talking about the China National Intelligence Law, Article number 7. You also have the factor of equivalency that you have Iran and Pakistan. Now, Iran just most recently lost their IAF membership because of lack of payment, but the damage has been done. During 2015 to 21, Iran was solidly on board there with the IAF, and they're equivalent in accreditation to ANSI ANAP. Here's a nice picture of Zhao Jinwu in the laboratory in Wuhan. I wanted to show you this. This came out of an article concerning the second workshop of challenges of emerging infections, laboratory and global security. And the very first item over here, remember back about 2 years ago, Senator Rand Paul was inquisitioning Anthony Fauci of the NIH. And he asked him about gain-of-function research, all the rest of that, and Fauci said, I don't know anything about it, we're not involved with it. Well, take a good look. Number 1 states that gain-of-function research, gene editing, targeting, and delivery, and other novel biotechnologies. And if you keep on reading them, you see that they were prepping basically in advance for the COVID deal. Now here's the woman of the hour. Ms. Pamela Sale, Vice President of Laboratory Accreditation, gave under deposition in Texas while Zhao Jinwu was handing out a laboratory certification in Wuhan, China. One of the issues is that there is no commonly agreed upon set of standards that forensic labs, biolevel 4 labs, phlebotomy labs around the country and world have to follow. Instead, there are informal guidelines that labs can choose to follow or not. She basically gave the deposition of guilt when it came to the release of the COVID virus. This was from a report that Mr. Marvin Schechter, a lawyer for the state of New York, gave as a deposition, stating that a laboratory certification is no more than a badge of honor. Here's the actual Chinese document, written in English, of course. We have a picture on the second page of Zhao Jinwu right here. At that time, he's the chairman of the IAF, along with being the chief executive of the China National Accreditation Services. And on the very last page, ladies and gentlemen, on the very last page is, of course, that article about the second workshop in China. Here goes the actual training document, May 2019. We have it. It will probably be down more than likely in one of the featured articles that we are going to attach in the description. It states on page 3, okay? It states on page 3, and you can see it. I will read it for you, though. If you stop the video, you can read it, but I will read it. It states that the safety and function of a biolevel 4 laboratory rely not on the containment facility and biosafety management systems, but also on highly qualified and experienced staff. Many recorded laboratory accidents are related to personnel error. Here goes a nice little picture here. Now, Albert Bourla, after giving a speech to Megan Terrell from MSNBC, said, I'm a 59-year-old man, I don't need to take it. He had vaccine hesitancy. So we got a picture of him, which it appears he's giving the vaccine to himself. If you take a good look at the hair, the glasses, the ears, of course, take a very, very good look, magnify it if you want. It looks like Albert Bourla is given a shot to Albert Bourla, and this was taken off his Twitter page. You have J&J, which sits on ANSI's board, and you've seen it. You're going to see that it sits not only on the board of ANSI, but it sits by the FDA, USDA, NIH, CDC, etc. Now, you have J&J. They're sitting on the Dalai Lamas of accreditation, of quality extraordinaire, right? That's exactly what they say. If you have a ANSI ANAP certificate, it is like gold. Well, you can see what happened to Boeing and their certificate. You know what happened with Boeing? 2002, they did a supplier notification that said, if you have an ANSI ANAP certificate as a supplier, send it in to us, send in your parts, And we don't have to send any inspection to your facility. Isn't that nice? Well, here you go. If you feel confident about J&J, there you go, J&J. J&J says batch of COVID vaccine failed, quality check. And the best one was FDA tells J&J to scrap 60 million. It was like 75 million. You also have Pfizer. Remember what Albert Bourla said. Albert Bourla said it was made in the sun, a 170-year-old company, it was made in the sun. We have quality control procedures. And they too sit on ANSI's board. Okay, the quality extraordinaire. Anything that ANSI ANAP touches turns to shit because they're underwriters. They're also involved with our federal government, FBI, CDC, FTC, FDA, you name it, they're on board with it. They protect each other. There's failure in the systems all the time. We see it with Boeing, and Boeing will never get their head out of their ass because if they do not utilize the talents and abilities of myself and my team, then you're going to have another plane. And they're going to say, like Patrick Shanahan said, about the F-35 program. He said when asked, as the Deputy Secretary of Defense under Trump, he said when asked about the F-35, Lockheed Martin, he said the program is fucked. Well, let me just tell you something. After their 801st F-35 being built, they still have quality issues up to including loss of aircraft, loss of pilot. So it's not just the program fucked, it's the aircraft itself. And then you look at Pfizer, skipping quality processes and standards. Is there something wrong with this picture, ladies and gentlemen? Do you feel comfortable about getting that shot? I tell you this because they did not inform you. They just jabbed you without any contraindications given, like on blood pressure, like what Netanyahu said in his interview. In his speech, he said, we were the first to test it. Pfizer used us as a lab. We are a laboratory for Pfizer. Yeah, laboratory. You also have NIH on board. You also have the CDC on board. You also have 7 different registrars that issue quality certificates that are ANAB accredited, that use the ANAB symbol, that sit over by ANAB, which there is no oversight. It is a worthless piece of paper, and you can see it again with Boeing's quality deficiencies. You can see it with Lockheed's quality deficiencies. You can now see it with Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson's quality deficiencies. Also AstraZeneca, they have quality deficiencies. That's why you really never see their injection on the shelf. You also have, of course, the FDA sitting on their board. And when things get really shitty, you have to call the Department of Justice. They too sit by everybody. My telephone number is 203-556-1493 or Daryl, TQRS@yahoo.com. And you will find the rest of the data down below this video. If you have any questions or concerns, please call me. We have a nice picture of Benjamin Netanyahu, Albert Bourla, and then here's Albert Bourla giving his testimony to Megan Terrell. Don't worry, I want to bite your neck. No, I don't take the injection, but I want to bite your neck. That's exactly the way he sounds. I'll talk to you soon.